Hello, this is Brian Resney, President of Resney Wealth Management, bringing you an important update about the economy and the investment markets. You know, there's a lot of talk right now, of course, about the government debt and a lot of talk about the debt ceiling and the budget. And unfortunately, as we've seen this play out too often over decades and decades, you know, our government, Democrats and Republicans, really just do a horrifically poor job. We haven't actually had a budget. I believe it's over 22 years now in the U.S. They just keep pushing the can down the road and they keep raising the debt ceiling. I've had a few comments or general questions from clients, and let me give you a little bit of statistical information. Between Democrats and Republicans over, I believe, the last 50 years alone, they've actually raised the debt ceiling 79 times. Democrats raised the debt ceiling 28 times, and the balance, well over 40, was raised by the Republicans. So both Democrats and Republicans, while they'll talk a big game, have all raised the debt ceiling a lot. And I don't think that's going to stop anytime soon. The thing that comes into play often is, well, we've got this massive amount of actual debt now. What's going to happen? Is that really going to implode the dollar, and is it going to really hurt the economy? You know, we've had debt before. We've paid some of that debt down. We've racked it up again. Unless our government gets together and really does the right things, which appears they really don't have the ability to do, both sides, we'll probably continue with this massive amount of debt for decades and decades and decades. But it's not just the U.S., it's the rest of the world. Almost all the rest of the world has as much debt, some more than the U.S., some a little bit less, but the world in general has a boatload of debt, and that's really the government side. And unfortunately, obviously, that comes at a cost. And as we all know, a lot of countries right now have, you know, interest rates on their treasuries, and like in Germany, it's actually a negative number. In the U.S., it's actually a positive number by about 1.5% on the 10-year. But if you go to these other countries, they're actually negative. So you actually pay them for them to basically lend your money to them. In essence, you're not really making any return. You're actually losing money on a yearly basis. Spending, overspending, obviously is a problem, and it's been a problem for a long, long time. Money is obviously printed on a daily basis by governments around the world, and ultimately corporations in our country and around the world are really the ones that drive the economies and the net consumer. And most companies and most consumers are actually in pretty good shape. So while consumers and companies can run their balance sheets much better than the government, unfortunately, we're going to continue to have the same problems we've always had. But I do see the economy continue to grow not only this year, but next year. And in reality, the world's going to grow. I think the U.S. is going to be a great place to be invested over the next decade and probably much longer. Inflation's going to be here, and there's going to be some sticky points of inflation that are not going to go away. And there's going to be other parts of inflation that are going to be transitory. For most people, it's not going to have a big impact on your life. But ultimately, this is not Jimmy Carter Day inflation. We're not going to see 16, 18% inflation widespread across the board. But there are pockets, and some of this will go away. So what I always suggest to every investor is make sure that your personal bias about whether it's Democrats, Republicans, having debt, not having debt, make sure you understand really the facts around the cause and effect of different variants on the financial system. And realistically, we've managed big debt before. We'll manage it again. Realistically, our government's going to raise the debt ceiling again like they've done 78, 79 times before. And that's not going to change anything other than we'll have probably some more debt next year. But the economy is going to grow. And what we really see at this point now is obviously a lot of fighting with the Democrats and Republicans about the huge spending plan under the Biden plan, which looks like that is really collapsing at this point. And I'm glad to see that. You know, we're going to spend money we don't have, even more money that we don't have. So we're already spending money we don't have for the normal budget and racking up debt. And now we're going to spend a whole bunch more money on top of the money we don't have. I mean, it's kind of crazy if you think about it. And I know it drives some people kind of batty, but kind of put it in the back back pattern, back seat, and don't really worry about it too much. We're going to get through this. The world's going to keep spinning. The economy is going to grow. We'll continue to have politicians that don't do a good job for everybody. And unfortunately, that's the case, and it's been like that for decades and decades. It's not going to change anytime soon. If you're a client of our firm, of course, and you have any questions, concerns, please call the office. We are always here for our clients. And as always, we appreciate your business and your trust, and always your referrals. So if you have a family member or friend that needs a real money management firm, think about us, pass our name on. We always appreciate your business. Have yourself a safe and profitable day.